Oh, now you need help?
This is
So-
nuts.
What do-
Yes,
now you
I
need
need
help
you to
with.
Now you
answer
need help?
questions.
It's all on
I
video.
need you to
I've never
answer
had anyone who's
freaking
actually asked for help
questions.
during a debate.
I need
So
you
check this
to
out.
actually,
So-
if you're avoiding the entire
Hold on.
debate, what is the
Hold
point,
on.
Tyler?
If
Okay, so yeah, we are doing a debate on abortion. It's going to be two pro-lifers. They are going to be debating on whether or not we should criminalize abortion. So let's bring on our first guest. Let's bring on Tom. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brittany?
Doing good. So you want to introduce yourself, tell people where you lie in the political spectrum, and where people can find you.
Yeah, I'm a conservative postmodern neo-Marxist. I am I identify as conservative. Some people will call me left, some people will call me right, some people will call me a Nazi, some people will call me a communist. I don't know. But I mainly, like, my top three positions or that I debate on or that I advocate for is pro-life, pro-BLM, and pro-trans issues. Those are what I debate most.
Well, very conservative issues.
Those are the ones that I got moved on as a conservative. Those are the ones that I did a lot of research on and had, like, that's why my positions were moved on them, is because I did so much research to have my position moved to where, like, those are things that I now know more about than anything else. But I also help coach other people who go on platforms like this one or Modern Day Debates or the Hippy Dippy or all other sorts of platforms. So I help them get ready for debates. I will review debates consistently, and I have an audience of a lot of content creators who come watch and learn from other people's mistakes when I go over debates. So, yep.
All right, thank you. Next up is our fashionably late Tyler Bluntman. How are you?
Hey, I'm not late. So what y'all don't understand is that black people run on different time schedules. So it's just a little bit later than white people time. So I'm on time for black people time. So, hey. So yeah, my name is Tyler Bluntman. For anyone who does not know, abortion is definitely my main thing that I debate on the pro-life side, on the abolitionist side, because I believe that it is definitely the most imperative issue that we're facing currently in this country, arguably around the world. So yeah, if you want to follow me, you can go over to Tyler Bluntman on Instagram.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Each person can give an opening statement, can be as little as 1 minute, no longer than 5, about your topic and the stance. After that, we'll open up the floor. For those of you watching, if you have questions, tag politically provoked. Who your question is addressed to, we'll jot them down during the debate. After the Q&A is when we'll do closing statements and final thoughts. So, why don't you get us started first, Tyler?
Sure. I didn't even think I needed much of an intro here, but because Tom, claims that he is pro-life. So if he is pro-life, then I'm assuming he believes that, it is the killing of an innocent person. He can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong in his opening statement or when we get into it. But if he's claiming to be pro-life, I assume that we at least agree on that. So the only thing here that I am trying to, get into the mind of Tom here is that if you're going to say that you're pro-life, if you're going to have the stance that, okay, well, it is murder or it is the unjust killing of an innocent person, but then if you also just simultaneously hold the position that, well, even though it is the killing of an innocent person, but killing of innocent people shouldn't be illegal and they shouldn't have legal consequences, then I find that to just be hypocritical. I would just say that you're just pro-choice. You don't actually believe what you believe, or you just want murder to be legal with no consequences. So I'll just leave it kind of open for when we get into that open discussion.
All right, Tom.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, there's a chance that maybe what it was that I wanted to debate here was not relayed accurately. I am pro-life. I do think that it should be illegal at some point. But today, we currently live in a culture where it is a fetus is thought of as a blob of cells, to where if we make it illegal, There are studies that show that there's not actually that big of a difference between how many abortions happen while it's legal or while it's illegal. But we do know that it does make it more dangerous to have abortions when it is illegal. If you're having it with a coat hanger, or if you're punching yourself in the stomach, or if you're in the in a bathtub in a hotel somewhere having some random dude performing. Like, I think that these things are more dangerous. As somebody who's pro-life, if one fetus dies, this is bad. If a mother dies as well to get rid of that fetus, I feel like this is doubly worse. If I have my way in a perfect world, it would be illegal and everybody would just stop doing it. But until I see evidence that would actually stop anything, I don't think that's the direction I would want to go. First, I would want to change the culture that we live in, the morality and the ethics, the way that we think of a fetus, the way that we give this thing personhood. And normally, like, yes, I think that all you need in order for someone to have personhood is it needs to be human and it needs to have life. And a fetus qualifies for both of those things. But until we can actually change the culture and until we can actually move forward to a point where abortions would actually be less likely, I think that making it illegal would actually be detrimental instead of helpful.
All right. So we can open up the floor now.
Okay, so you believe that it's a person at conception, yes or no?
At conception, so I guess it's a little bit more nuanced there. I would say yes, broadly. But then if you want to get into like whether or not like it's when it has a heartbeat or things like that, or whether or not I think it would be okay to have abortions in the meantime, I think that like in order to have some sort of consistency, I would probably, when it comes to legality, probably say that like once it has a heartbeat is when it should be illegal. But yeah.
Okay, so when I say like when I'm talking about like personhood, I'm generally talking about like at what point, like, do you believe that it is deserving of specifically like the right that we're talking about, like the right to life? So you don't believe that that's at conception?
Yeah, probably not. Like
Okay, you believe in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's like if somebody dies normally, like some of the things that we're looking for is like whether or not it has a heartbeat or whether or not it has a functioning brain. I would say that like legally we should look for those same things to be consistent.
Okay, so I don't think it's really going to be relevant to the entire scope of this discussion, but it's not like I'm debating a typical pro-choicer who just doesn't, agree to any of this or talks about bodily autonomy or something like that, right? So at least we agree, at least at some point, that you're a person, you believe that, like, generally it's at, I guess, a heartbeat, right? So somewhere around that point. Okay, so are you saying that it should be illegal after a heartbeat?
Yes.
Okay, so then like after 3 to 4 weeks gestation, you believe that it should be illegal?
Yes, at some point, but not right now. So like, again, if we are going to make it illegal, it has to be after a process. If making it illegal right now doesn't actually change anything, if the outcomes are still the same or even worse, then yeah, I think that like ideally it should be illegal. But right now, kind of the way that the laws work, I think is where we need to be in the meantime until we can move the culture forward and be more moral or ethical. Okay,
so just to be clear, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding your position and that I'm not strawmanning you, so just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is your position that it is the killing of an innocent person? Would you go so far as to say it's murder?
Well, murder's a legal term, so I that would be based on the state, but like if we're just saying killing of an innocent person without reason,
I can say that too. Like, that's fine. Like the killing of an innocent person.
Yeah, then yeah, I would say it's the killing of an innocent person.
So you do agree with me that it is the killing of an innocent person, but you believe that we should legally allow women to kill innocent people?
Well, okay. So if you're going to make it illegal, what is it that you're trying to get out of making it illegal?
I want it to be illegal because it's deontologically wrong. Like murder is wrong.
Okay, so there's not actually an outcome that you're looking for by making it illegal. You just think that law should represent what is good or just or wrong.
Well, I don't think that that's really relevant to this conversation unless you held a position that you believe that murder should just be like legal, or like any like crime that we say, like if we're saying like killing innocent people, right? So if you're saying that killing innocent people should be illegal, which you do hold that position, right?
Killing innocent people should be illegal. It is, if that actually makes a difference or is helpful, then yes.
Wait a minute. So do you believe that killing innocent people should be legal if it doesn't make a difference, or if it, I don't know, goes the opposite way? So basically, like,
sure, I'm looking
from, like,
for
utilitarian
utility.
framework.
No, not utilitarian, but in this case, when it comes to laws, yeah, like we make things illegal because society can't function without those laws. If we allow people to just run around killing each other, there's not like, you can't do anything in society if that's the case. But like, do you think laws are like a representation of morality? Like, should we make lying illegal?
Some laws, sure. Yeah, I think some laws, sure.
So how do you draw that line? How do you draw that line?
Well, not every law is centered around morality. Like, not everything that's immoral should be illegal. But again,
But that's what I'm asking is how do we draw that line? Because that's what's important.
You and I both draw the same line.
No, hold on. If I'm saying that it should be legal, or sorry, it should be illegal when it actually has utility to be illegal, then this is the conversation. Why do you think it should be illegal right now? And what is it that makes you believe that making it illegal would be helpful?
No, Tom. So you are coming from a utilitarian standpoint because you threw in that little part at the end where you say, well, it needs to be helpful, right? So I come from the perspective.
When you talk about utilitarian, you're talking about morals. We're talking about law.
Let me finish. So what I'm talking about is I come from the stance that murder is deontologically wrong, right? Should be illegal. You also said, right, whether you want to frame it murder or not, you said the killing of an innocent person, right? So the killing of an innocent person, you said, should be illegal, right? But then you also said, well, yes, an abortion is the killing of an innocent person, but it shouldn't be illegal now. So, and then you said, well, I need to know if it basically is going to have some type of like positive utility, right? So if it's going to have some type of positive effect, right? So I would ask you this, and I know you must have watched my debate with Kay Fellows, right? So I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked her, right? So if I could prove to you, like through whatever study, right, in this hypothetical, I could prove to you through whatever studies and whatever data that you needed, right, that if we made some other crime that we agree should be a crime, if we made it legal, that would actually have less of that effect, right? So we could say like rape, right? So if I said that, look, if rape was completely legal, hypothetically, that less rapes would happen. If rape was legal, would you hold the position that we should make rape legal?
Okay, so real quick, if I misrepresent you or you feel as though I'm not actually responding to what it is that you're saying, I want you to stop me and interrupt me.
I mean, mine's a yes or no question.
The basis of your question was not my position to say that it's a utilitarian position. That's morality. That is not legality. I'm trying to stick to what it is that you think would make a difference in making it illegal. And so if it's both, I want to know where you draw that line. If you are going to draw... No, stop.
You're dodging my question.
Stop. I asked this question first, and you refused to answer it. Where do you draw the line? What makes something... What... If you don't think all laws are about morality, then
because it's a red herring, it's irrelevant.
What laws are about morality and what laws aren't?
It's a red herring, Tom. You are completely dodging the focus of this debate. You're trying to go into some other like irrelevant discussion instead of tackling right now. Should abortion be legal or illegal? We both agree that it's the killing of an innocent person.
Oh my God.
You just think that it should be legal. So and correct me if I'm wrong. You said that the reason why it should be, I'm sure you probably may have like other reasonings, but you did mention that you said, oh, well, it needs to have some type of positive, I think you said like positive utility or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So they needs to, I'm assuming you mean it needs to be like, it needs to bring down the amount of abortions, right?
Right.
Okay, so then I'm not misrepresenting you. So when I posed the hypothetical, I posed you a parallel. I said, okay, so if that is your position, That is your logic. All I did was I brought up another crime and I said, okay, just to test your logical consistency, like, is this your position? Are you saying that if rape was legal, if I could prove to you that by making rape legal, that less rapes would happen, total rapes would go down? Should we make rape legal? You're refusing to answer that question.
Yeah, sure.
And that completely tackles your stance.
Okay, so I will answer this. You're continuing to dodge my question as to where you draw the lines on what makes a law come from morality, but we will come back to that eventually, I'm sure. So if somebody is raping somebody and we didn't have, like, normally the utility from arresting that person or making it illegal is that we get that person off the streets because they are a danger to society. And so there is a punishment to that action that would hopefully make this less likely. But we can see that that is not the case when it comes to abortion, because there are so many other incentives to having the abortion to where they feel the incentives outweigh.
You're dodging my question. Can you just answer my question?
What was the question?
You asked. I'll ask you for
okay.
So I'm going to ask you for a third time. Okay. Your position. I'll restate the whole thing again so that it's not lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
Your position was a utilitarian position. Your position was that, look, Tyler, if abortion is going to be illegal, then less abortions need to happen, right? So then I posed you this question. I said, okay, let's pose a parallel. If I could show you that if we made rape legal, that less total rapes would happen, right? Less rape would happen in the United States. If we made rape legal, should rape be legal? You have dodged this twice already.
Okay.
I just want to, like, do you believe that? Yes or no?
So if that's not the only thing that matters. It's like if the person who is a danger to society is not getting off the streets, yet rapes would go down, then, like, no, it still doesn't matter, because we still need to get that person off of the streets because there's still a danger to other people in the meantime.
So you're saying no?
I'm saying no, unless no, we still need to get that person.
Then I would say, then I would just say that you're committing a special pleading logical fallacy and that you are completely logically inconsistent. You're taking one rule or set of guidelines and you are applying it to this over here, which is abortion. You're saying, well, no, it needs to be this over here when it's regarding abortion. Mm-hmm. But when you take it to, well, this other crime, when we're talking about, like, rape, you're like, well, no, I'm not going to go ahead and apply it to this one. Then I just say that you're logically inconsistent at that point, and that would really be all that I needed to say.
Okay, so what you should say is if the woman is having an abortion, are they not still a danger to having more pregnancies and aborting more people, right? That should have been the follow-up question, because if that's my logic for rape, then that would also be the logic that applies to an abortion. And
wait, so hold on. So you're saying that if you believe that someone isn't a danger to having more rapes, then we don't need to lock them up? Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with your reasoning here. Okay, so this person is raping people, but we definitively know that he is no longer going to be a danger of raping anyone else in the future. Should he be imprisoned?
You're saying he raped somebody, but we know he's not going to rape anyone in the future.
He's no longer a danger. Yep.
Yeah, if we could know that, then, like, sure, it probably wouldn't matter that much.
So you're saying that he shouldn't face any, like, consequences. So this rapist who raped people, right? But we know that he's not going to rape anyone else in the future. He should not have to, like, pay any type of, like, legal consequence for his crimes.
Correct. So let me ask you, what would the consequence do?
If you want to bite that bullet, then that's okay.
What would the consequence do? Like, what do you think that would achieve?
So wait a minute. So wait. And I'm going to answer your question. Mm-hmm. So it sounds to me like you don't actually care. You only care if you think that it's going to, if this person isn't raping anyone anymore, that's the only thing that you care about, but there is no type of actual penance or consequence that people have to pay, for, like, heinous crimes. So, like, I come from that perspective. So, yes, do I want people to not commit crimes in the future? Sure, absolutely, right? I think that prisons need to be more rehabilitative, right? I think that needs to happen in prisons, right? But that doesn't also mean that there shouldn't be some type of consequence for your crime.
Right. Okay. So why would there be a consequence? What is the use in that? Like, what does that help? Why do you think there should be a consequence?
Why do I think that there should be a consequences to people's negative crimes? Or I'm sorry, to people's crimes?
Right.
Well, for one, I mean, you actually brought up one of these issues here. You said, well, I want to get that person like off of the street. Right. So I want murderers to be locked up and away from society.
Why
right?
do we want to get them off the street?
Well, we definitely want them to commit less crimes, right? But I would also argue that...
You literally just went to the same thing as me. You are saying the same thing as me. We want them to commit less crimes. We don't want them to continue doing the same thing.
I've never disagreed with that.
You just said that I bit a bullet, but your reasoning is the same as mine, Tyler. This is ridiculous.
No.
You literally
Tom,
just went to the same reasoning as me.
I've agreed with you on that part from the very beginning. I've agreed with it. I've already told you that like I want people to commit less crimes, but just because you commit, just because I know, I'm in this hypothetical, right, that I gave you, that we know that you're going to commit less crimes, like there should still be consequences for certain actions. I actually would argue that.
But your reasoning for the consequences is to have less crimes in the future. We have the same reasoning. I just skipped over one step because that's the end point. That is the goal. You are explaining it with one more step in there, but it's still the same thing. We both want less crimes in the end. That is the reason for having the laws.
We both want less crimes. That's true.
Yes. So when it comes to abortion, if it is not making it to where there are less abortions, what is the point in making it illegal?
But see, in your society, here's why your society is different based on your philosophical standing, right? In your philosophical standing, it would actually allow for like certain people to be like human sacrifices, right? For like the greater good. That's not a society that I would ever want to live in.
We don't
right?
live in that though. That's not a real thing. Hold on. This is your position because your position is a utilitarian position, right? So I could pose this question to you because you say, okay, abortion, if it's not going to lower abortions, right? That's your position. If it's not going to lower abortions by making it illegal, then it shouldn't be illegal. I posed that hypothetical with rape and said, okay, well, if rape was legal, and I could show you that it would make people would have less rapes in the United States, should we make rape legal? You said yes, right? But there's a couple of things that you're not taking into consideration here. The first thing is that by making rape legal now, even if total rapes would go down, well, now people who otherwise wouldn't have been raped will be raped, right? So you are sacrificing people for whatever some quote unquote greater good. I mean, I could pose this question to you. I could say, Tom, do you believe that if I could show you that we could save 10 women from ever being assaulted if we just assault these other 5 women who otherwise wouldn't have been assaulted? Should we do that? Should we assault these 5 women? All right, that's a great question. I would like to know first, before you dodge yet another question, why do we want abortion to be illegal if it doesn't lower abortion?
It's deontologically wrong, right? So I've already answered your question.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, stop. No, it is not. You already said
murder is deontologically wrong.
You already said the point in having the laws is to make it to where these things happen less. If this is not going to make it happen less, what is the point?
That wasn't what I said.
Oh my goodness, dude. That is literally what you said.
That's not what I said.
You just said, I just played this out for you, and you said, I agree with that. I just said that.
You're misrepresenting me.
You're
showing me. So I'm going to re-explain.
Moderators, can I please get some help here? This is nuts.
I'm going to re-explain. Oh, now you need help?
This is nuts. Yes, I need you to answer questions.
It's all on video.
I need you to answer
I've never had anyone who's actually asked for help during a debate.
I need you to actually, if you're avoiding the entire debate, what is the point, Tyler?
If you're misrepresenting me, I'm going to re-explain, Tom.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I didn't say that was the only reason. I said that I agreed with you.
Oh
I agree with you that we want to lower overall abortions. I've said that from the beginning. I absolutely want to lower all abortions. But even if I could prove that by making abortion illegal that it wouldn't lower abortions, even if I could prove that, it wouldn't matter to my argument. It should still be illegal because it is deontologically wrong, that murder is deontologically wrong. And by allowing this, With your framework, it creates more people who otherwise wouldn't have faced such crime that will face such crime because you come from a utilitarian perspective. Sure. It's like a human sacrifice perspective. Like, do you see that?
Yes. So you can make up what you want to be deontologically wrong. Like, you can just make this stuff up all you want and say this is wrong because I want to know where you draw the line. Where
Hold
is
on,
it
Tom,
legally?
Tom, you haven't answered my question. I've already answered that question, and you haven't answered mine.
No. Hold on.
You just don't like the answer that I'm giving you, but you haven't answered my question.
Okay, what is the question?
So I asked you because I want to know if this is your framework, because your framework is utilitarianism, whether you think it is or not, it is. So your framework is utilitarianism, which I'm telling you is human sacrifice. So what I said is that under your framework, because all you care about, the only thing that you care about is that whether laws should be legal or illegal is if it lowers or hires crime. Or hires this action, right? Hires whatever this thing is, right? So I asked you, I was like, okay, if I could prove to you that these 10 women who would be assaulted won't be assaulted, but in order to do that, we have to assault 5 other women who otherwise wouldn't have been assaulted. Should we assault those 5 women?
No.
Why? This is your position.
No, it's not. So again, utilitarianism is a moral framework. This is we're talking about legality here. Because
yes,
you apply because you applied morality to this situation. This is why I need to know where you draw the line as to what would be moral.
You just contradicted yourself,
when it comes to legality. You can keep saying that, but you're avoiding the entire topic.
Yourself.
The entire topic is why would you draw that line when it comes to legality? You are avoiding this like the freaking plague, bro.
Tom, you just contradicted yourself.
Tyler.
You shouldn't even hold the previous position.
No.
If this is what your position is, Tom, so hold on. So I'll restate it for you, and I'm going to see if you can see your own contradiction.
Okay.
Right? So what you said is that when I said, look, Tom, if I could show you that by making rape legal, that all rape would go down, you said, yes, we should do that because less rapes would happen. You said that, right?
Right.
Okay, so that less rapes would happen. Okay, so you only care about that number, right? That number being lower, right?
Yeah, my government should not decide morality.
Okay, so you care about that number being lower, even at the sacrifice of other women who would never have been raped. You're saying, okay, well, that's okay because total rapes are going to go down. So yes, you are sacrificing other women who otherwise wouldn't have been raped. So all I did was pose it in like a different framework. I just said, okay, well, then what you're saying is that if we could prove that these 10 women who otherwise wouldn't have been assaulted, we could save them, or I'm sorry, these 10 women who would be assaulted, we could save them if we assault 5 other women who otherwise wouldn't have been assaulted. Should we do that? And then you said, no, that contradicts your first stance.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Because we're talking about a moral framework versus a legal framework. Stop! I'm blown away that this is that confusing for you, dude.
You're literally just talking and not saying anything. Can you logically explain why those two things are different, or how those two things are different?
Yes, because I want the government to do what is best for society and what society wants, right? So like, if we can't run a society with these things happening, then we have to make them illegal in order to stop them. But when you ask me this many rapes versus this many rapes, what ought we do? You are asking a moral question, not a legal question. If you're asking, should the judge force 5 rapes to happen in order to stop? We're talking about legality.
Yes, I understand that, Tom. We're talking about what should or should not be legal. I'm asking you, under your framework, what would or wouldn't be allowed. On one end, you say, yes, rape should be legal if we can prove that total rapes would go down if rape was legal, right? So that is your position. So all I did was I just framed it a different way, right? And apparently
one is morality, one is legality.
It's either confusing you or you just you're special pleading. You're contradicting yourself.
Put this into a legal framework. We're talking about legality. We're not talking about morality, dude. This is mind-blowing that you don't understand the difference here. Like, seriously, this is mind-blowing.
Tom,
I'm seriously blown away right
now. Fine. So I'll just put the word legal in here for you.
Okay.
So if 10 women are going to be raped, right? 10 women, definitively they're going to be raped. I I could prove that if we rape these other 5 women, that these 10 women will not be raped, right? So we're like net 5 positive, right, on women not being raped. So we're net 5 positive. Should it be legal for us to rape these 5 women to prevent these other 10?
Yeah, sure. Like if I could kill one guy to stop him from killing 10 people, then yeah.
If you want to go ahead and bite that bullet, then I would just find you to be like completely immoral. At that point, I'd say that we're just not going to see eye to eye. You come from a utilitarian framework where it's okay to sacrifice humans for the greater good. I come from a deontological perspective that says, no, this action in and of itself is wrong and should not be legal.
Okay.
So at that point.
So if somebody is running around killing people, should I be allowed to kill him, or is killing not like deontologically wrong?
No, I didn't say that killing was deontologically
I know
wrong.
you didn't. I'm asking you.
Should you be able to kill someone to prevent someone else from killing someone?
Yes. Like, why should we be allowed to have self-defense, or why should?
If people are initiating force, yeah, sure. So if people are initiating force on you or initiating force on others, you should be able to initiate force on them to stop that. Yes,
Yeah, I agree with that, but like the point in making that legal is to make it to where less of it happens, right?
Yeah. I find this to be so weird. I find like when people have your position, like this utilitarian position,
it's
and
not
when you
utilitarian.
Just break it down,
we're talking about laws. We're not talking about morality, dude.
Yes, I understand that. But where we come to what is legal, but where we come to what is legal versus illegal is based off of this morality. It's based off of your standing. So I don't know why
it's based on
maybe
what
you
helps
just don't
the society
understand
run.
utilitarianism.
No,
so that's
not.
fine. So hold on. So this is why I find this to be so just like very bizarre and odd. Like I find it odd for someone who I don't know if you feel like you're more for women than I am, or more for whatever than you are. I'm unsure. But are you? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, like the.
Do you feel like you're more pro woman than I am?
I don't know. I don't care.
Well, really. Based on this stance.
I don't know. I don't care.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I find it to be very odd for anyone to just be like, yes, like we should do this because, it's, more women are either going to be killed because you were talking about back alley abortions and coat hangers and all that stuff. Is like, yeah, I'm pro woman on this side, but in my society, in my ideal society, you could just be a fucking human sacrifice. So like, I find that to be very fucking odd. For those two things to kind of go together. It is what it is. At this point, I wouldn't even know how to reach you. Like, this is like similar to like if you said that, yeah, Tyler, like we should have, some other crazy, I don't know, law that you wanted to come up with where I'd be like, no, it's like, yeah, we should make you should be able to have sex with 10-year-olds. I'd be like, no, we shouldn't be able to have sex with 10-year-olds. I don't even know how to reach you at that point. I would just be like, nah, like I just keep it moving. So like once you say that like in your society, people can just be like human sacrifices, like at that point I would just be like, nah, I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it moving. At that point, I guess people can kind of decide whether they would want to live in your society versus mine. And that's it.
Okay. So let's go back to, where do you draw the line when it comes to laws? Why are some about morality and some not about morality? Or why are some things that are immoral not illegal?
Why are some? Well, I think it depends on like the initiation of force, right? So like I come from, I haven't completely solidified like my philosophical standing, but based on the reading that I have done, I'm kind of into like John Locke, and I'm starting to look at like other philosophers as well. But I kind of lean on the side that if you initiate force, you should not be able to aggress on another person, right? Unjustly. Right, unjustly. If somebody initiates force on you, then you should be able to either protect yourself or initiate force on them back. Or if somebody initiates force on somebody else, then you should be able to step in there as well. And this is an initiation of force. So some laws that are on the books, I don't think that they should be laws. And some laws that aren't on the books, I think should be, like abortion.
Okay, so I believe that like laws are made to create the society that we want to live in. So somewhere where we would probably disagree, I'm okay with some drugs being illegal, like heroin or crack or things like that. Like I don't want to live in a country as a recovered heroin addict. I don't want to live in a country with a bunch of drug addicts running around. I don't want to live in a country where like I can just walk around paying people to have sex with me, and that like becomes something that is like easily paid for everywhere I go or on every street corner. Like there are some things societally that I think we would have a better society if we don't have those things, and I think the laws should enforce the type of society that their citizens want to live in.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. This is like veering off of the abortion debate. This just goes
It's
into
not.
like
This is
whatever.
what we're talking about.
Well, it is. Like you're just talking about just like main philosophy and like your standings. So like
But this
I
is
would
where
say
the conversation
no.
comes from.
I would say no. Hold on, let me finish. So I would say no. Mine is more again more of like initiation of force. If somebody is smoking a doobie inside of their home and they're not doing anything to aggress towards anybody else, then I don't find that the government should be able to go ahead and impose a law against that when they aren't actually harming anyone else directly. You could talk about indirectly, but I'm talking about directly, right? Mm-hmm. So at that point we just disagree on that. But again, like.
Well, the indirect harms
here on abortion.
The indirect harms would be important to me. Like if we make drugs legal, but like it makes more gang crime likely, or more gang violence likely, then like this is something that would harm the society that I live in.
I don't care about your main philosophical like
because
things
you don't actually make sense as to how you come up with your positions. I'm trying to get to how you come to these positions, and you don't care about that part.
Positions. No, Tom.
But you're saying that you don't want to have a conversation about how you come to those positions. So like
if it's in regards to abortion, then that's fine. We can go ahead and have that conversation. But I don't care to talk about everything else with you. Like I only came on here to talk about abortion with you. It's the only reason why I'm here.
Okay.
Right. So
sure. I came to like show something else you don't make sense how you get to that position.
No, so wait a minute. So when I talk about the initiation of force, that doesn't make sense?
It makes sense, but like it doesn't actually help your society. Like it actually harms your society. If in the society that most people want to live in, like you are actually making a society that most people would not want to live in. And so I
don't really care about people's feelings. I just care about what is right.
You were just talking about who's more pro-woman, bro. Don't tell me you don't care about people's feelings. Like, give me a break.
I wanted to know if that was your perspective so that I could just kind of deconstruct that. But that's fine. That's fine. No worries. I'll give you that one. So that's fine. So I don't care about people's feelings in society. I really just more so care about like if they have the right to do something or should have the right to do something, like even if people don't like it, like people, many conservatives do not like that people have the right to burn an American flag, right? Many of them don't like that. And I don't actually care if they don't like it. I just care about what the right is, right? So you should have the right to do that because that is under your First Amendment to do so, right? You have freedom of expression, and that is inalienable. So so I don't really care about feelings. I more so care about what is right versus what is wrong, or what should be a right versus what should not be a right. You're talking about more so feelings of what people want to have or what not want to have. I don't really care about that as far as like the laws go. So man, like that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. Human sacrifice. That's you. I'm not that. I'm not pro human sacrifice, and that's it.
Okay. I mean, do you want us to go to closing statements then?
Yeah, I think that was pretty quick. I figured this was going to be pretty quick.
Well, we're thinking to bring on some pop-on questions if you want that.
That's fine.
All right, so I'm going to put the link in chat, and we can take on one at a time. So if you guys have any pop-on questions, then Tyler, you're going to have to find a new debate topic if you're going to be all abortioned out.
No, I debate like we talk about like gun control, like constitutional things.
What's your position on gun control?
There should be none.
Of course it is. All right.
I'm an originalist, man. I'm a constitutionalist, man.
Repeal the NSA.
What? Todd.
Yeah.
The ATF is a criminal organization.
Okay. And I guess I can ask some of these questions that are already up, but yeah, I'll maybe turn this down. It's probably loud. So if you guys want to pop on, you can. Let's see that. From Super Awesome Man. Why does Tyler think using some off-the-wall hypotheticals somehow proves his point? Making rape or murder legal wouldn't lower rape and murder, so his question is pointless.
Yeah, I find this to be just like completely like smooth brain like comments when they just don't understand like I guess logic at all, or what a parallel is. So I actually made it very clear that I'm not saying, or I'm sorry, if I didn't make it clear, then I can make it clear now, that my hypothetical has nothing to do with if in reality making rape legal would lower rape. It's only to test the logic of Tom, and to see if that he would stay on his stance, which at the very end he did. He was logically consistent. He said, yes, we should go ahead and make rape legal if it's going to lower overall rape. And, that's just at the sacrifice of other people who otherwise would not have been raped, just if it lowers people. So, yeah, I just find that to be human sacrifice. I don't get down with that.
We have somebody sitting backstage. They don't look like they've connected their device properly. And if I don't know who you are, I'm going to get you in the private chat to find out who you are first. All right, so another question from Super Awesome Man. Does Tyler think it's always wrong to murder people? Is he against the death penalty? If not, then he's not always against killing people.
So for one, I wouldn't say that that's murder. So people make this kind of argument all the time, that you can't be pro-life or can't be anti-abortion if you're pro-death penalty, when in one you're talking about an innocent person being killed versus someone else who's presumably a guilty person being killed. But to answer his question, yes, I am anti-death penalty.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can real quick, I completely agree with that. Like, there's what people call the consistent pro-life position, where they're also against like death penalty. I think you can be for the death penalty and be against abortion.
I'm sorry,
but I personally am not in favor of the death penalty. But that's just because of the way our judicial system is structured, not because I think it's like wrong to kill a guilty person.
Okay. For Honor, question for both. If abortion had been illegal for the past 30 years, do you think the murder rate in the U.S. would be higher, lower, or the same?
Go ahead, Tom.
Question for both. If abortion had been illegal, I would say I don't know, honestly. From what I look at, like, it depends on whether or not we're going to call abortion murder. And so like I would say that it should legally be murder, and that like eventually we need to get to a point where abortion is considered murder. So if we're counting that as murder, then the abortion or murder rates would probably go up.
Okay, did you want to answer that, Tyler?
Yeah, if abortion had been illegal for the last 30 years, do you think that the murder rate in the U.S. would be higher, lower, or the same? Yeah, I would also say that, I'm unsure. If you want to go ahead and like look at certain studies or just look at certain, maybe the numbers of abortion, like after Roe v. Wade, you might be able to come to the conclusion and say that it would be. But I don't know. You'd also have to factor in, it's like, well, do we think that more women would risk having an abortion or risk murdering, right? Do you think that they would risk this crime and going to prison for this crime? I'd probably argue no, that they wouldn't. So I actually do think that total abortions would go down if we made it illegal. But it's kind of irrelevant to my point, to my argument anyway. So I usually just give it to the other side.
Okay, and for Obey the May, I will bring you on after I do some of these questions, and then I'll pull you up. All right, so from Andrew B to both, people will argue that making abortion illegal will result in more women dying from unsafe abortions. So their lives are a sacrifice to save babies. Is that logical?
Yeah, because this premise is kind of wrong. So no, I wouldn't say that they're not sacrificing, right? Because you're basically saying that, look, a woman is going to kill her child no matter what, right? Or kill this fetus, whatever you want to call it, this abortion, right? She's going to have an abortion no matter what. To me, it's a killing of an innocent person. If you don't think that it is, then we can go ahead and debate that. But Tom and I actually agree that it is the killing of an innocent person. So you're saying that this woman is going to kill an innocent person no matter what. So if she dies in the process of killing her innocent children, like, do I care as much? Probably not. And I also find like it being dangerous to be like another deterrent. I don't think that it should be easier for women to kill innocent, like their innocent children. Like that's just not a position that I hold.
Yeah, I somewhat I understand the premise of the question. Like, if you're going to, if you want to save lives, if that's the hope, right? And like normally we look at a fetus and we say this is a life and we want to save it because it is a life. Well, if we say now abortion is illegal, but the mom and the fetus are now both more likely to die, well, now we're not actually saving lives, but we're ending up with more lives that are dying. So it is, I suppose, somewhat of a sacrifice where we are allowing the women to live and sacrificing the fetuses, if that's
But wait,
the way
how
you
would
want to
that
put it.
even follow, Tom? Because what you're saying is that if abortion, you're, in your hypothetical, you're saying that, well, if abortion is illegal and more women or like more fetuses would die, like
No, the
if
same
it was
amount
illegal,
of fetuses would die, but more women
Okay.
would die in the process of the abortion.
of killing innocent people, then I would. Okay.
Okay. All right. So from Zen Shapiro, for Tyler, how do you define justification or initiation of force?
Yeah, so like talking about like initiation of, well, I don't know, like I don't know how to like deduce that any further than like the initiation of force. Like if I aggress towards you, if I hit you, if I touch you, if I like any type of force from me to you, right? So now most libertarians also carry that over to like taxation, and like I'm starting to read up on that now. I don't consider myself a libertarian, but I'm reading into that now. That's why again I said like, as far as like my philosophical standing, as far as like all initiation of force when it comes to like taxation, I might very well hold that, and I might be anti-taxation once I look into it more. But yeah, when it comes to just like aggressing, like physically aggressing towards like another person, I would also argue that like threatening another person would classify as like some type of initiation of force. Like if you were in front of me and said, "Look, I have a gun in my pocket and I'm going to pull it out and shoot you and your family dead." As soon as you go to like reach for your pocket, like I find that to be justification enough for me to go ahead and fucking fly on my head.
Got Mike Pence.
I did get Mike Pence. So I find that to be justification to go ahead and put them down.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring on Obey. Hello. How are you?
Hey, sorry, no camera came up. I don't have my whole setup right now. Hey, Tyler, I'm on your side. Just so you know, I'm super right wing.
Cool, man.
I like everything you talk about, but I wish that maybe you would just maybe I don't know. And I hate telling you to do it because I'd like to do it too. Maybe do a ton of research and be ready for these left wing guys. And I know you are. You're very good at it. But like you're the best at it. But there's besides maybe like I don't know fucking the guy from Canada, I can't think of his name. But anyways, Tom Foolery with you. I love no. I
Well, hold on, real
no.
quick. Can I say something to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what are you talking about as far as being?
Oh no.
prepared
So
for what?
I watched a lot of this. Just be prepared for the bullshit that they're gonna bring to you because I agreed with everything that you had to say, but I thought that a lot of your responses,
Like to what specifically?
we're going to help people like my mom, and my sister who like watch CNN all day and they don't care.
Ah,
So you speak to me 100%.
got you.
But I don't
Gotcha.
think you speak to the people that I try to speak to every day and try to wake up from what's happening with this new
So what do you
world
think? Like
order.
be softer in my responses?
I'm not sure how to do it actually, sir.
Okay.
But anyways,
No worries.
I don't want to take a lot of time. I want to move on to Tom.
No problem.
Foolery. Tom,
Yo,
we share a name, man. Wait, my name is Tom too.
base.
I don't want to harp on it too much. We disagree on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to talk to you. I'm on. I know the Discord is actually disconnected a little bit with Politically Provoked. Someone obviously someone did some bad things. But I would actually love to talk to you about a lot of things.
Well, I'm
'Cause
streaming right now. You guys can go over to my chat and look in my description.
What?
You guys can join my Discord there, and I'm
Is this-
happy to talk to people.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tom Foolery
Okay.
Show.
So when I joined I assume if I join your YouTube Discord or anything else, everyone's just gonna say I'm a Donald Trump supporting bigot. It's gonna be terrible.
First off, we have a wide range of people. Like
Okay.
Brittany knows, we have a wide range. Hey, we got a wide range of people in there. B. Heller does just fine.
Brittany rolled her eyes, and Brittany actually recently changed her name from left-wing host to centrist.
She's none of the above.
Hey,
She's just a host.
Hey, Brittany, did you?
She's right wing
Did you-
host now.
Brittany,
I'm
did you
left-wing.
catch? Yeah, say Brittany,
I've
did you
been
catch up
blue-pilled.
to the what's it called? The
Is that,
so
so
there?
did you have a question for me real quick?
Oh no! I actually want to know where to find you.
Okay,
Let's have a conversation. Let's talk.
cool. I'm down.
Not a debate though, because I don't debate. Tyler Bluntman does it best. He does it good. I don't
Thanks,
do it
man.
like
I
that.
appreciate it, man.
Sorry.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
There it is. Sorry. I wish I would have had a microphone. You've seen it.
You're good. All right. So let me pull up
That was
some of
an
the other.
interesting guy.
Let me pull up some of these other.
Hey, man, you might have another conversation later.
Okay.
I want to know
So.
why I'm not in the Discord. Was I invited, Tom?
Well,
Can you
yeah,
go
no.
Discord?
In
Okay,
my
wait,
There's only a
description.
certain amount of
Really-
minorities.
No,
that are
really
let
quick,
into
really
the
quick,
Discord.
because like in the past week, it was literally last Thursday when our initial Discord got shut down. We had like 800 members, completely gone, lost my account. We made another one, and in 3 days we got up to like 370 members. Like we were building it up pretty quick, and then it got shut down, and all my mods lost their account this time. Now I have a VIP Discord that's only given to people that I trust. And I went into your Discord last night though with two of the people that have been coming after us and doing all this and behind it. And I woke up to my account being gone, but our VIP server is still there, which tells me that they were reporting my account. They weren't able to report the server because they don't know the server.
Mhm.
So not thrilled about that at all. So I don't know if you want to talk to your people, but I'm really upset about that.
Oh, I also do debate transgenderism and systemic racism. Those are the two things I thought of.
What's your position on systemic racism?
Oh wait, yeah,
Real
actually, no,
quick.
wait, no. What's your position on the transgender issue? Because I actually might have some debates on that.
Transgenderism?
Those are the
I
two
think
things I debate most.
Yeah, I find transgenderism just to be, it's not real.
Okay. Yeah, I know some people are wanting a debate on whether they want an opponent who.
I hold I saw like
You are-
BPF's debate. Like I hold like a very similar stance like BPF.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. Let me pull up some more of these comments. And again,
Don't take credit for your position. Wait.
Todd, will you keep putting the StreamYard link in
Yeah.
chat so that people? Okay, and let me pull up the
Absolutely.
ones that we can. All right. So from Atherion or something to both, which is more moral, adoption or abortion? I think we kind of know the answer.
I mean, I think
now.
I think that we both agree. But Tom, I mean, wants to focus on just the legality, not the morality, right?
Yeah, that was the topic of conversation. But I don't know which one could be more moral, adoption or you're saying is it? I would say for sure it's better if people don't have an abortion and put their children up for adoption. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more moral. I mean, unless you're an anti-natalist, I think that it's more moral to not kill your children than to kill your children. So,
Okay. What if you had to choose between that and putting that child in a home with a pedophile?
I don't think that you could ever know that.
What if those are only two options?
but you can't know that.
But what if you had to?
Come on.
You do a lot of these
Okay,
hypotheticals
so
all
what if
the
you?
time to
So hold on.
people.
So hold on.
The
So what if you had
hypothetical
to-
is
Sure,
flawed
sure,
because
sure.
you're going to letting people have sex and have children also has the chance of them being born into a house with a pedophile. So like you kind of have the same chances, regardless of whether or not they get put up for abortion, or I mean for adoption.
based.
So wait, you didn't answer it, Tyler.
Well, so it doesn't really make sense. But if you're saying that if I had to choose between killing my kid or having it go to some pedophile, then I don't know. Like you could say, all right, so sure. So I'm not going to kill my child, and then I'm just going to go kill the pedophile. Like, I guess that's what I would say.
There are lots of people who grow up and are abused, and it's a horrible thing. I'm not justifying this in any way, but like
Yeah, agreed.
lots of them go on to live perfectly normal lives and get over it. And I think that I would rather them have the chance to grow
Yeah.
up and live a normal life than say like, okay, well, there's a chance you could live with a pedophile, so let's just go ahead and kill you now to avoid all that trauma. Like, I think even living with trauma is probably better than dying. So
So you think like
Yeah.
long like suffering would be better than a quick painless death?
Well, for one, I don't know what you mean by like long suffering, and then two, like I don't think it's on us to make that decision for someone else. Like if we could kill them for it, right? So I can't make that. Like let's say that you get abused by your boyfriend every day. You get abused by him every day and you won't leave him or whatever, right? So like I don't think that I can make the decision for you, but like, you know what, I should be able to kill Brittany because she's facing like this type of hardship or this type of abuse or whatever. I can't make that decision for you. I think that would kind of be on like that individual to make that decision, but we should always err on the side of life.
yeah, like we don't know that pedophilia is always going to cause a whole lot of trauma either. We know people who grow up
What?
and never have like a whole lot of trauma. I'm saying that's
What's
that's
that
rare.
really?
Hold on. Let me make my. Hold on. Let me make my.
That was a
Let,
very
no.
weird take.
Wait. Let me say what I'm gonna say. It is the minority that people
Cringe
like
take.
do go on to live normal lives. We've heard Milo Yiannopoulos talk about how it's not a traumatic thing. It's not a traumatic thing for him. And so the point is that you're saying
he
like
was a victim of that?
yes. And so the point is you're saying something really bad happens to them, but we're going to go ahead and say your life is going to suck because of this, and we can't put that on them. So it's like me saying like, you know, for some people it just didn't matter to them and they moved on with their lives and it was no big deal. So if I could say like, okay, well, you're going to stub your toe, so we need to go ahead and kill you.
So
like,
Tom, can I ask you a question?
yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? So hypothetically, right? So if we could know that this pedophilic relationship between like this 40-year-old and this 5-year-old, if we knew that it wasn't going to cause like any type of issues with that 5-year-old, would you say that should be like a legal thing to do?
Yeah, that's the whole reason.
Fuck, that's
like,
cringe, bro.
Hold on,
That's so
hold
fucking
on.
cringe. Okay,
That's
go ahead.
like
go
the
ahead.
entire reason that we say that like people have to have the ability
sorry.
to consent to these things is because it does cause a lot of trauma for those who are not consenting to it. And so if
Okay.
you are able to either consent to it or like not consenting doesn't cause trauma and doesn't have problems attached to it, then there isn't actually something to stop.
I got you. Thank you for answering.
All right. All right. So from Brandon Mize for Tyler, hypothetically, if criminalizing abortion caused 1 million abortions a year, but decriminalizing it, it would drop to 1. Would you still be pro criminalizing abortion?
Yeah, I think that is deontologically wrong. I don't think that we can like sacrifice people for that. So no, like it's wrong. Like killing your innocent child is wrong and it should be illegal. We shouldn't allow for that to happen.
Yeah, we have the trolley situation for this exact like sort of idea where we can look at whether it will allow a train to
it's not
run
exactly
over
the
5
same.
people. Well, it's not, but like in this scenario, if you make the decision to kill the one person, it's kind of now on you that one person was killed. Whereas if you do nothing and allow the 5 people to get killed, then it's not on you and you didn't do anything.
Correct. Agreed.
Yes.
I completely agree.
Right.
Completely agree.
And so I would say that, like, lots of people would say the inaction is an action in and of itself, and not doing anything to stop the 5 people from dying.
So wait,
is a
so do
decision.
you agree with me, Tom? So hold on. Do you agree with me? So like when it comes to like the trolley problem, right? Because many, I'd say even most people say that you should switch it to only kill the one person instead of killing 5 people, right? But to me, I'm like, well, that's I would have to make the conscious decision to switch that and kill someone who otherwise wouldn't have been killed, right? Instead of these other 5 people. So I say just don't switch it.
Yeah, I would say that if you know the scenario and you're making a conscious decision not to switch it, then you are still culpable for those 5 people and not the one.
So you would say switch it?
Yeah, I would say switch it.
Okay, I just want to see if you're like still consistent with like your other things. So yeah, I would say no.
Okay. From Just a Dude. Conservatives believe the government should stay out of people's lives. Isn't
No,
it
they
the ultimate form of government control when they tell a pregnant woman what to do with their body?
No, they don't.
So are like, is this a question to like all conservatives? Like, can we get like all conservatives in here? I guess maybe to like answer this. Like, what is he talking about?
Go
So,
meet
like,
a paleo conservative, bruh. They're all in the chat. Go meet one real quick.
Are you like, yeah, like, no? So
Yeah, libertarians.
this isn't like a question for me. So I don't even know like who this question is for.
Yeah, go meet a paleo conservative. Most conservatives believe that we should use the government to form this type of society that we want to live in, which is why we want drugs to be illegal, which is why we want, want porn to be illegal.
Not constitutional conservatives, but I'd say most.
Yeah, so it seems as though most like have the idea that they make laws based on what forms the type of society that they want to live in, and that's where I'm at.
I agree. I don't agree with that, but I agree with what you said. And especially when you get to like more paleo conservatism, like it's not only just like super far to the right, but now it's like super authoritarian, right? So like now you're like what he's talking about, like when it comes to like things like porn and like other things, that's when, they believe that the government should go ahead and step in, for that, where I'm more on like the liberty side.
Justin, I see you back there. I'm going to pull up this comment and then I'll pull you up. All right, so from Salsa, to both, if abortion were prohibited, isn't like banning drugs before people would do it illegally?
Like what? Like what?
I don't know.
If abortion were prohibited, isn't like banning drugs before? I don't know what
I think they're saying, shouldn't we ban drugs so that people don't do it? Wait. If abortion were prohibited, okay, never mind. With that at the beginning, I don't understand anymore.
Okay. All right, so from General Roldan. Tom, is it okay for someone to be enslaved for the greater good, for whatever good is up to you?
No. So like normally allowing people to be enslaved means that there will not be a greater good. Like you want people to have their individual rights. And so like if you want to call me some sort of utilitarian, it would be a rule utilitarian because I don't want people's individual liberties to be trampled.
Wait a minute. That's such a lie. That's not even true. So wait a minute. So you just agreed with me earlier that it would be okay to like rape 5 women to save like 10 women. Or I'm sorry. I think you special pled on that. Did you say that you didn't want that?
I said that if you were able
legal,
to put
legal.
it
I'm
into
sorry, I
a
don't want to say
legal
want,
context,
but like legal.
Yeah, in a legal context, I would say that I would say yes, but I think it's like such a far out scenario to where it doesn't actually
so you agree.
help anything.
So then what you're saying, like your whole thing was like, look, I think it should be legal to rape 5 women if we know that it would save 10 women from ever being raped, right? So like you don't care about like people's individual rights. Why did you even tell that guy that you did?
No. So your hypothetical isn't actually analogous because there's not like a way to put that into legality.
That's their individual rights. Hold on. That's their individual rights, Tom. That's their individual rights, like to not be raped.
Right. I'm saying the hypothetical isn't actually analogous. I explained this earlier. Like it doesn't actually
It
fit
is analogous.
until you put it into legality. Unless you're saying like the judge is going to force somebody to rape 5 people to avoid.
No, that it would be legal.
Things.
I said legal.
It would be legal to rape 5 people or 1 person if it stopped 5 people from being raped.
Sure.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I can't imagine that scenario actually being relevant, but I would say that like
But you
if
agree
there
with
was
it. Yeah, so
actually
you're
a
not for
scenario
individual
to
rights.
where it helped somebody, I would say it should probably be legal. Yeah, just as the same
Okay,
as
so
I
then-
like.
so in
I
his- so
think
his
we
question-
should kill somebody to stop them from killing 5 other people.
Okay, but
or-
so his question, then you would have to change your answer for him, right? Because his question was like, should you enslave someone, right? If we know what's going to prevent the greater good. I think like what he's getting at is what I'm getting at from earlier. It's like, so if we knew that by enslaving this one individual, by putting him through whatever torture or whatever, restricting whatever rights, whatever you want to come up with, right? That it would, I don't know, save 10 other people from something else happening or from these other people being enslaved. Like, should we do this? Like, you would say yes, right?
These are not actually like, okay, I enjoy like far out hypotheticals because they actually test your consistency. These hypotheticals are not within like the realm of possibility no matter
Yes,
what
it is.
I answer, it doesn't matter because you can't put it into a legal
Hold
context.
on. Hypothetical has nothing to do with reality. So like a parallel has nothing to do with reality.
I said into a legal context to where it would actually be analogous.
Okay, I've already talked about that.
You gotta fix the background stuff, Justin. I think
I actually like his background.
No, he's playing.
He's got background noise. Yeah.
Oh, he's got background noise.
Yeah, he's playing it.
Okay, you're good. Oh, never
I'm gonna
mind.
mute you
We're
till you
echoing.
fix it. All right, I'll pull up this question while he figures that out. So from Jenna Rolden. Tyler, I'm wondering about the rationale of why the legal status of something matters. If 1 million abortions will happen if it's illegal, why would you take that over 1 million legal abortions?
Because what you're saying is you're saying that you're okay with sacrificing someone. So this is like when we were talking about the trolley problem. If you want to talk about like the doctor problem, like where she's faced with this issue and says, look, I can save like this one person, right? Or fuck it. Like I would just say like, look, we have one healthy person. So one healthy person, we can violate their rights and we can say it's okay to kill this one person because they have enough organs that would help, I don't know, 4 other people. So it'd be like the greater good, right? So like we would say, no, we shouldn't allow like that sacrifice. So for one, this would never happen, just to be clear. And I understand it doesn't matter to the hypothetical, so I can still answer it. But just to be clear, like it wouldn't happen from 1 million to 1, right? But that being said, yeah, so I just don't believe in like that should be from like a legal perspective that we should be able to like sacrifice these people. Now, that being said, if people are talking like morally for like themselves, I think many people would justify things, right? I think especially when it comes to like even like their own children. I think people would rather kill, 100 innocent people than to, kill their child or for their child to be dead. So I think people will find a way to justify it. But if we're talking from a legal perspective, should it be legal or not? Then no, it shouldn't.
Tyler, can I ask you a question?
No.
All right. So if you're against abortion, would you be okay with expanding social programs to help families that maybe are getting an abortion to be for financial reasons, or they feel like they can't properly take care of the child?
What type of like through the government?
Yeah, like welfare or.
I'm not one for
food
really
stamps.
welfare. I'm more for like privatization. So I'm more for like people if people want to voluntarily like come up with some type of organization that helps women, if they need some type of help, then I would be fine with that. Then sure.
I feel like it should be your side that does that, though, that comes up with that solution.
My side that does what?
That comes up with the alternative. If you don't want it to be the government and you want it to be privately funded, then it should be done through the ones that are saying, hey, we need to outlaw abortion for, moral reasons or whatever your reasoning is behind it. You need to come up with the ideas of how you're going to fund it if you don't want to expand government social programs.
No, one has nothing to do with the other. So like you're just like you're just presenting like a false dichotomy. So no.
Well, I mean, you were presenting red herrings earlier.
Well, so hold on. So I don't think you know what a red herring is. So for one,
I absolutely do. The situation where you're
presenting this. So let me focus on this first, then you can reply. So no, you're saying that if should we make murder legal or illegal should be based on if we can help women do what?
So, that's just your opinion, though, that it's murder, right?
Right. So you would have to work within my moral framework, right? So if you're asking me a question based on what I would do, you would have to operate within my moral framework. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So like you're talking to me about like murder. So it's like, okay, so should we make murder legal or illegal? Should be based on what?
Okay, but like I said, that's your opinion that it's murder. There's people that don't believe that abortion is murder.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
you have to work within
there's
my
religions
moral framework.
that believe that a human life isn't a life until it takes its first breath.
That's fine. But again, you're asking me the question. You're not asking these other people the question. So you would have to, again, work within my moral framework. The same way that when I'm asking Tom a question, I have to make sure that I'm working within Tom's moral framework.
And I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that if you want to make it illegal, you need to come up with the solutions and be like, hey, let's outlaw this. Here's how we can help. Okay, we can help families that are wanting abortions for financial reasons. We can help. The adoption system in America is very flawed, and a lot of times kids end up in foster care. It's a lifelong process, and then that translates into the criminal justice system.
Justin, what if he wants to end abortion but doesn't want there to be a solution for it? Why would he have to come up with the solution if he doesn't want a solution?
Then you shouldn't outlaw it.
Whether or not he should or shouldn't is different than whether or not he wants to and what his framework says he should or shouldn't do. But when it comes to like whether or not he has to fix it, it's or whether or not he has to come up with the solution, it's a different question. So like for me, I believe that we should have the solution, which is why I want to wait until there's a society that we actually we live in a society where we actually think that this is an immoral thing to do, and then eventually start changing laws because that would actually be helpful to society. But he's not worried about what's helpful to society. He's saying this is wrong deontologically, and so therefore it has to be illegal.
So look at it this way. Look at it this way, Justin.
Let me ask you something then. If that's how you feel, how can you say that it's for? Okay, so why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like it's? Why do you feel like it's wrong?
I'm gonna explain to you why. So it's no different than like if this were like the 1800s and we were talking about slavery. It wouldn't be like any different, right? Even if we were having like that discussion, be like, look, slavery needs to be abolished. Like we shouldn't be doing this. We're enslaving people. It is not right. It goes against their human rights. We should not be doing it. Even if I couldn't come up, like even if I didn't have the solutions. Okay, well, what are we gonna do after they're freed? Like what are we gonna do as far as jobs? What are we gonna do with this and this and this? I think that's fine, and we can have that conversation, absolutely, but it still doesn't matter if we're like, look, this is a human rights violation. This needs to stop immediately. Whether we get to that, whether we're talking about that other point now or not is irrelevant. We need to stop enslaving people, similar to here. We need to stop killing innocent children.
Okay, but again, even like the slavery problem, like you saw what happened. Like we ended slavery through the 13th Amendment, and then there's a loophole in it, and then it created mass incarcerations, and now we're dealing
that's irrelevant to this point.
It's not.
That would be a red herring. That would be a red herring.
It would have a similar effect if you were to say, hey, okay, we're gonna outlaw abortions, we're gonna make them illegal, we're not gonna worry about the consequences of that, rather than say, okay, we're gonna be proactive with the solution.
So
this is,
real quick, Justin, do you think that like pedophilia should be illegal?
Absolutely.
What is your solution for people who crave younger kids? What is your solution to fix that for them when they want it anyways?
I would say therapy is probably the first place to start.
So are we going to make therapy free through the government to fund it for pedophiles?
I would. I definitely would do that, yeah.
Okay.
I believe that healthcare is a human right. So, yes, I would make that free. In my perfect world, yes, that would be free.
Okay. Yeah.
And especially for something like that, if it's for criminal prevention, if it's somebody that has pedophilia urges and they haven't acted out on it, then absolutely the government should fund it. But it's going to cost more to put that person in prison than it would to just send them to a therapist once or twice a week.
Right.
To pull up this question. From Zen Shapiro, for both, if morals are subjective, isn't it contradictory to try to impose your morals on someone else, even if it is for what you deem to be good?
So I don't believe that morals are subjective. I'm a Christian, but I know that most people do believe that morals are subjective, and I don't want to put morality in the hands of everybody else. So I want things legally to be run based on what helps society most, not based on what people's morality is, which is why I try to separate the two.
Yeah, I would say that it probably doesn't really matter to this conversation if we agree that the killing of innocent people should be illegal. It doesn't matter if he believes it from a Christian perspective and I believe it from, you know, some other like natural rights perspective. I don't think it really matters. I think that even if you say that morality is subjective, there are certain like universally agreed upon moralities that we can like agree upon. So, yeah, like generally speaking, like murder, rape, theft, things like that are usually, in the general sense, agreed upon should be like illegal.
All right, Justin, I'm gonna put you down backstage for a bit. We have another person. All right, so all right. Oh, there's some background noise. Phenol Sella.
Hey, what's going on? So this is like a question for both. Like, I was having an argument with like a couple of people about like, you know, like prohibiting abortion is like kind of like the same thing as like prohibiting drugs in a way. Like people are gonna do it illegally, like regardless. So like, how would that like work out?
Well,
I mean, answer first. Or you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were talking.
I think that making drugs illegal does actually lower the amount that people use it, especially when you make it illegal and now you have convenience stores and you have like a more what do you call it? Like you have more options when it comes to drugs. It's not something that you're trying to avoid cops with. It's not something that you like can only get sometimes based on whether or not you have like a good plan to get it from the drug dealer's house to your house. Like it does lower it in some ways, but it doesn't lower things like but it also helps things like overdoses and things like that. So like I would want drugs to still be illegal but decriminalized, and so yeah.
So Tom, real quick, so you're not going based off of any type of study or data with that. You're just going based off of what you think like logically would follow?
No, there's a study, I forget the name of it, damn it, dude. I didn't come prepared for this, but there's a couple of studies that I saw where if we include illegal use of marijuana in states where marijuana became legal, it actually shows that there was a rise in the amount of
I actually looked at like a similar study, and I don't have it here for this because I don't have that. I don't have my drug document, but I actually looked at, and this was like probably a year or so ago, so I could go back and like try and find it. But the study that I read showed that specifically in Colorado, specifically in Colorado, when they like legalized drug use or marijuana use in Colorado, that like total drug users of marijuana didn't actually increase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. What changed it was when a separate study added in illegal use of marijuana and not just legal use of marijuana, that there did seem to be an increase.
Okay. So like if you're asking me, what was the question again? I'm so sorry, man. What was the question again?
Prohibiting abortion, like it's kind of like would be like kind of prohibited.
Yeah. Understood. So I usually just give like another parallel to that. Like the abortion topic is generally philosophical for most of it. Even when you're bringing it into like legality, it's based on like some type of morality, right? Gotcha. So I could just pose like another parallel. I could say, okay, well, people are still going to murder, rapists are still going to rape, pedophiles are still going to pedophile, right? So like, should we keep those things? I mean, should we make them legal just because people are still going to do them? It's like, no, of course not, right? So it's the same thing here with abortion, assuming, of course, that you believe that it is the killing of an innocent person, which Tom and I both agree.
Yeah, I'm not like super hard on like abortion and stuff. I would like consider myself like an objectivist.
Mm-hmm.
So like Iran believed that like she like said like you can just like do whatever the hell you want. kind of.
Yeah, I would just kind of pose that next time and just be like, okay, well then fuck it. Like then what's the like there should be like no crime laws then, right? No murder laws, no rape laws, no nothing.
Property rights. That's all. Like they were all like worried about. That's it.
Property rights? Was she like an evictionist?
No.
Okay, that's usually like the libertarian perspective, which is super cringe, by the way.
Well, she would argue like that, like libertarians were kind of like subjectivists, and she's like the objectivist type. That's why she has like her philosophy is called objectivism. That's why.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of have to like talk to her. Like if she was on here, I'd say it. But just based off of your question, I would kind of like pose it that way. But yeah.
All right, gotcha. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Evictionism is cringe.
You're muted, Brittany.
Fuck again? This is like everybody's trying to silence me.
She understood, man. She's letting the men talk, man. She understood.
I've been so many chat
You know what I'm saying, Todd?
In the past week, I've been getting banned from everyone's chats. I've been muted. I've been silenced, and now my own
She's silencing herself.
me. My own show silencing me.
Literally 2021.
rough.
Literally 2021. Nice.
So what I was saying is if you guys we still have questions we have to read, but if you guys want to pop on and ask questions, we are putting that in the chat and you guys can pop on and ask a question. Okay, so the next one was from Gennaro Roland. Tom, what evidence do you have that abortion will not go down if it is illegal, since abortion went up when Roe versus Wade?
So yeah, I think that I think that the problem, Roe versus Wade was a mistake from the very beginning, and making it it legal, obviously changed the perception of the public when it came to whether or not abortion was moral or immoral. I mean, they start calling it like a blob of cells and bullcrap like that, right? Like the thought process when it comes to what a fetus is has completely changed since Roe versus Wade. Now we can look at a bunch of other countries, especially in South America, where abortion is illegal, and the studies show that there is a 5% decrease in how many abortions took place, but there was, I want to say, a 5 or 6% increase in deaths due to abortion while it was illegal for the woman. And so that's like if it evens out,
5% increase in deaths for the woman.
Yes.
Well, why would that be relevant?
Well, that was my stance, was that if the woman dies because of the abortion, then it actually makes things worse, where you actually have more people dying if you want.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that was it. He was talking about would total abortions go down? You're now trying to compare that to women being killed from abortions. That has nothing to do with his question.
I'm sorry. Can you pull the question up again then? Maybe I misunderstood.
Sure. Let me see where was it? Oh God.
Yeah, I can recite it. So what he said is that what evidence do you have to support that total abortions will not go down if it was made illegal, since right after Roe v. Wade, total abortions went up?
Yeah, I'm not saying that it wouldn't go down. So 5% is going down. I think that it's still within the realm of within the I'm sorry, it's a long day. What is it called? Within something of error.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So you're saying that even if you agree that total abortions will go down from making abortion illegal, that you still wouldn't support it, even though every other stance that I posed to you, you said that you would support that because it lowers the total amount of that crime. So why would you not hold that same position?
Because in this case, there's still going to be the same amount or more deaths when it comes to your
No, it's less. You just said it.
No, I didn't. I said that the amount that the woman dies is somewhere from 5 to 6%, where the amount that abortions are lessened is only 5%. So either you have the same amount of deaths or more, because the woman and the fetus are both dying now instead of just the fetus.
Right. So you're talking about someone who is killing their innocent child. So, like, I just don't understand, like, why you would conflate that with an innocent person. She's not innocent if she's killing an innocent child. She's not, right? So, like, the child itself is innocent. So that should be what we're focusing on as far as decreasing. If more women happen to be killed in the process of killing their innocent children, then I would just say, okay. So I don't understand like how, like what that would have to do with the other, but yeah. Also, I think the study, like, are you talking about like a Poland study? What study are you talking about?
It wasn't Brazil. It was.
I've seen a bunch of those different studies. I'd have to look at yours specifically, but most of these studies are like, it's not even comparable because they usually take it from like some hyper focus errors or for some poverty-stricken area compared to like the entirety of like the United States. You can already take the United States. You don't actually have to use another country.
Wait, say that again? The culture has completely changed in the United States because of Roe versus Wade. Like, it's a completely different culture on whether, like, so as to whether or not it would actually lower. It would make a difference if, like,
so if we changed it, why don't you think that it would change the culture?
I think it would eventually, but I think that you would actually have a lot more negative consequences in the meantime, to where like it would be better to change the culture and then change the law.
I think it really comes down to if you think that women would still, and you'd have to like both of us would have to try and find a study for like either side, but I think it would really come down to if we believe that women are going to follow this law or they're not going to follow this law, right? Like here in the United States. So I think that's generally what it would come down to if you're arguing from like that.
Sure. So at the same time, when it comes to like making like when we talk about changing the culture and making it to where we believe that abortions would be a lot less likely, we can look at polls to see what the top reasons are for women committing abortions, and then make those things less likely. So if a woman is afraid that she's going to lose her job, or like if she doesn't think she's going to have a babysitter, she doesn't have a significant other, she doesn't make enough money, like those sorts of things, then we can make it to where like those aren't her worry anymore, and then make abortion illegal to where it's a very small amount of people who are still having abortions, if those polls are even accurate.
I don't disagree that you can't also simultaneously work on these things. Now, we might have disagreements as far as like where the government should be involved versus where the government shouldn't be involved, and that would be a conversation. But just in the general sense, like, no one is arguing. I'm not arguing against this. No pro-lifer is arguing. No abolitionist is arguing against this.
The difference is I want to do that first.
That you can't do things simultaneously. Yeah, but you're just saying that just because. You're just like, well, I just want to do it just because. Like, there would be no issue with doing both things.
No, I think that would help change the culture.
This. Well, hold on. Like, there'd be no issue with saying, look, I want to do these things that is going to lower or change the culture of whatever, or lower abortions, or whatever you want to say, and simultaneously I want it to be illegal as well. Like, I don't know why you can't just hold both of those positions. They don't contradict one another.
I didn't say they did. I said that like changing the culture would avoid the consequences, the negative consequences that I was talking about earlier. Changing the culture first and doing those things and then making it illegal would avoid the negative consequences that I've been talking about. So.
From Andrew B. To Tyler, abortion is illegal. A woman gets caught trying to hire an abortionist. What should happen to her?
Sent to the gulag, my friend. So the abortionist, she's trying to hire an abortionist. Okay, so like, if the abortionist accepts, then I'd say that would be a crime. If she's trying to hire someone, like hiring a hitman to kill your husband or your kid, or in this instance, then I would say that is a crime as well. So whatever, like the similar crime consequence would be for like other things, then I would say it should just hold true to this.
Oh yeah, I should also, because my question to that would be, well, what about miscarriages? Like I'll also add it on is I think that we will get to a point to where we can more accurately decide whether or not something's a miscarriage in the near future, and so I think that would be an important amendment to.
Well, we know if something's a miscarriage. I think you're just talking about like if it's an intentional versus like unintentional.
Yes, yeah, intentional versus unintentional, but like I wouldn't call it. Yeah, I guess I normally wouldn't call it a miscarriage. I would call it a murder if it's intentional.
So I'm even going to expand on that. So even if it was unintentional, I would still say that a woman could be charged with like an unintentional miscarriage. Like if she
didn't take her vitamins.
If she well, no, if she like got into like if she decided to assault somebody and then they got into a fight and this woman punches her in the stomach and then she miscarries, then she put herself into that danger. There's actually I forgot the word or the term for it. There is a legal term for this, but she would be charged because that only happened because she put herself into this position, even though it was unintentional. So yeah,
she put the child into that situation where things are more dangerous, and so if it gets killed, okay. So like if I have a kid in the backseat of my car and I know it's more likely to get in a wreck if I'm driving a car, should I also get charged with manslaughter if I have a kid in the back of the car when I get in a wreck?
Right. So there are things where we have to look at some amount of like practicality, right? So it's like, okay, well, is this something that you needed to do or something that you didn't need to do? So like if you didn't need to go and just assault some woman, then no, then you didn't need to do that, right? If you're talking about, well, my child needs to come with me at some point, well then yes, my child needs to be there with me, right? So there's some amount of like practicality when it comes to this.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think you would agree with that, right?
For the most part, I mean, when it like, so if we're talking about something that's already illegal, doing something illegal that causes more harm, like that should also probably be attached because we're already doing something illegal. So like if I accidentally run into somebody in my car and they die, like unless I was doing something insanely dangerous, I probably shouldn't be charged with manslaughter. But if I just went and robbed a jewelry store and I'm flying down the road running from police and then I slam into somebody and kill them, I think I should probably be charged for like felony murder or something like that in that case.
Mm-hmm. So from Dan to Tom, how on earth can you want government to take away my right to take a drug that will only affect myself when you want government to have no say in taking a life of a child?
I don't say that I want the government to have no say in taking the life of a child. I say I do want the government to have a say in it, and I want them to have a say in it later on down the road once we fix the culture first. Like, just making drugs illegal does not stop people from taking drugs. Like, there's a cultural shift that we need at the same time in order to actually stop people from taking drugs. So if my goal is to stop people from doing drugs, then there are other things that need to be attached to that. If my goal is to save lives of fetuses, there are other things that need to be attached to it instead of just making it illegal. And so like there's an actual plan to getting to that point.
But one directly harms someone, one doesn't directly harm someone.
Okay. From Andrew B. Do you believe laws affect our culture? If an action is made illegal, would that reduce the amount of that action?
In some cases, yeah. So making slavery illegal definitely changed the culture as to whether or not people held slaves. Now, when it comes to somebody's
illegal slavery anyway.
Yeah. When it comes to, whether or not you're going to lose your job, whether or not your entire life is going to change, whether or not like you're going to be able to babysit somebody, or like your entire life changes if you have a child. And so lots of people, it is logical for them to think, okay, well, it's still probably better for me to try to break this law and get away with it and make it look like a miscarriage than to have to like go through with this pregnancy and possibly ruin my life. So, I think that
I think that in general, yes, absolutely. I mean, you could just see this just by like different countries and like the prevalence of certain things as far as like per capita versus like here in the United States. Like there are studies that show in certain countries that allow like spousal rape, right? That allow they believe that if you are married, that the man should be able to force himself on the woman and should not have like legal consequences. And the amount of men that do that, it's much higher than the amount of men that would do that here. Well, we don't even allow it. So there's that. Actually, I'm going to recant that because I think that at one point certain states did allow that shit. But yeah, so like you could tell by like just from different countries that don't have like said laws or don't enforce said laws as much or don't even have said laws. Like if you're talking about places like Somalia or Honduras or whatever you want to look at, clearly it affects the culture. I agree with Tom in the sense that some people are always going to break the law, especially if they don't agree with said law. That I think that people are always going to find a way. Not all people, because I think that in most cases that people are going to follow what the law is, even if they don't agree with it.
All right. I'm going to pull up the one that was in the private chat from somebody who can figure out their mic. From Michael, he says, okay. Currently, when genetic testing reveals an unborn child has Down syndrome, most women choose to abort. How do you answer the charge that this is a phenomenon resembles the eugenics movement a century ago? The slow but deliberate weeding out of those our society would deem unfit to live.
That is the eugenics argument. I denounce eugenics, so that's not something that I'm with. Some people are actually for eugenics. I think actually a fair amount of, I'd hate to generalize, but in my experience, many paleocons I have heard who make arguments for eugenics. I am not for eugenics, so I don't know about Tom. I don't know if he's for that.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you looking up what eugenics is?
Well, so normally from what I wanted to make sure, from what I understand, eugenics is actually like changing people's DNA or something like that in order to have a better outcome, not aborting somebody to have a better outcome. Like I would agree that it's bad either way. Like you shouldn't just look at somebody and say, I don't think that's a good life, therefore they shouldn't have a chance at a good life. I don't think that's for you to decide.
It's not just changing the DNA, right? So it's not just changing the DNA. It's actually saying that, look, that you have to meet, a certain standard. You have to meet a certain standard for us to deem you worthy of, life. Otherwise, we can kill you, right? So, like, if you had X amount of characteristics and we say, nope, you don't pass, so we are going to kill you because you don't meet this this criteria. So I completely denounce that. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah, no.
All right, so from Alan, if a woman wants to get an abortion, should the man have any say if it lives or no? P.S. Hi, Tyler.
Neither of them should have a say. So the woman shouldn't have a say. I mean, especially because she's a woman, right, Brittany? But so the woman shouldn't have a say, and the man shouldn't have a say. No one should be able to say, yes, I should be able to kill that child. No.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let me see what else can pull up. From Notable. This looks like it was started on a different one. Okay, yeah, 2 parts. Currently, when genetic testing revealed, this is the so
that's the one you read.
Yeah, this must have been Michael that was backstage, so we did get it. Because he did it in the. All right, so from Gennaro, Tom, if we were in a world where murder was not yet illegal, should we not make murder illegal if we don't yet have a solution to lower total murders?
Yeah, if so somebody who's going to murder, if we think that it's more likely that they're going to continue murdering and getting them off the streets because they're dangerous would actually lower the amount of murders that are taking place, then yeah, you should definitely make it illegal and get them rehabilitation. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Did we do this one? Yeah, I think we did that one. Getting lost in all these questions. Might be all caught up, I think. I don't know. I saw a bunch of them that popped up at the end.
Do you believe for an eye, Tom?
Probably not. No.
You don't believe in that? You don't believe if I hit you that you have the right to hit me, or if I kill someone that I should face death?
So if you hit me and start running away and I start chasing after you, I am now the attacker. You are on defense now and you are retreating. So no, once you start retreating, I don't think I should come after you and stop you.
Okay, that's fair. Let's just like murder. So if I murder someone, so let's talk about capital crimes. Mm-hmm. So if I murder someone, do you think that that it's fair for me to be murdered or me to be killed?
In that scenario, yeah, if I think you're going to continue to go murder people, if you drop your gun and run away, then probably not. So, like, if we look at the scenario with what's the kid that
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah. If we look at the
Based.
scenario with Kyle Rittenhouse, he drops his gun, or he puts his
Based
gun down.
patriot.
He's no longer pointing it at people. He's no longer a danger to people. He did kill somebody. They don't know whether or not it was murder. They didn't all see it, but they start chasing after him, and they shouldn't have. He's retreating. He's running away, so they need to leave him alone.
No, Tom is sounding really base right now. Okay, so you kind of do, in some sense, believe in like an eye for an eye.
In some sense, I suppose. Like, I
Like
wouldn't
even
put
just
it that
even
way,
just as I know that somebody else came on, but I want to kind of address this real quick. So even just as like a consequence.
like as a consequence, I don't know. It depends on whether or not I think the consequence is necessary or whether or not it helps.
If we knew that this person who murdered people, let's say he murdered 10 people, it doesn't actually matter. Let's say he murdered a bunch of people. He murdered people, and we know that he's not going to murder anyone else. He hasn't suffered any type of consequence, but we just know that he's not going to murder anyone else. Do you think that it is still fair and just for him to be killed based on what he did?
I think that probably putting him in jail would hopefully de-incentivize other people to do this in the future as well. But
Agreed.
I don't.
Yeah, so hold on. So
but
this is
just
exactly
on the
my
basis
position.
of the fact that he did this, well, no, you
So
never
this
brought
is
that up
exactly
once.
my position, Tom.
You never brought
This is
that up
exactly
once.
my-
You can
So
say
hold
it's your
on, this is
position
exact-
after the debate, but you never brought this
but
up
hold
at
on.
any
Well, first
point.
of all, we're still on here. We're still on
still
So-
on, and I'm happy to
so
hear you out. I'm just saying you can say this is
Tom,
your
Tom.
position as you change it to
Tom,
something else. But go ahead.
This isn't changing anything.
No, go
So
ahead,
hold
change
on.
it.
So this isn't changing.
Okay.
This is more so expanding, right? So you do agree with me. You do agree with me that even if it's not going to, even if this person is no longer going to commit said crime, that it's still just for this person to seek some type of consequence, or for us to give this person some type of consequence.
Not because the consequence is necessary, but because the de-incentivizing others to do it would be necessary. If we see that in countries where it is illegal, why are you making that face? It's what I just said.
So wait a minute. So do you believe that by putting people in prison it decentivizes like murderers from murdering?
Yeah.
Okay. So we agree.
Right. Yeah. Hi.
But in the case of abortion, we look at statistics and say that that's not actually how it's been working out in countries that have like a cultural idea.
You haven't provided said study, and I'm pretty sure that the study that you're going to provide only takes into account like you could show me like the methodology of like where they got these women, but I've seen like a couple of studies from other countries. Poland was one of them, where they only took it from like impoverished neighborhoods where it's completely different as far as like what they believe versus like the entire country of like the United States in general, right? So so either way, what's up, man?
Yeah.
What's up, Mia?
Yo, did he name himself 145 IQ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a meme all over the place now. So
Hey man, maybe he's 145 IQ, man.
yeah, it's possible, I suppose.
You know, he
It's
came
probably closer to 170, honestly.
Right, just genius level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just have a couple questions for Tom. Quick ones. So, I missed the first part of this. I was busy. I'm sorry. First of all, it's good to see you, Tom.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore if you're missing parts of my debate, bro.
I totally
Oh,
agree with that,
man.
Tom. Like,
Oh, no.
in the
It's so
doghouse.
over.
You can make it up to me.
Good to see you, Tyler. How you doing, King?
What's up, man?
I'm chilling. So, Tom, I'm curious. Do you think that an unborn baby is a human life?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you believe humans have souls?
Yes.
Okay. And so do you think that abortion is murder?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that murder or slavery is worse? Which one?
Probably murder.
Okay, so I'm just curious if we went, in a time machine back to when slavery was still legal, And there are a lot of arguments, especially economic arguments. I think there were a lot of people making these arguments at the time for, not making slavery just outright illegal immediately, but sort of postponing that
because of
until
the
it's more
economy of the United
economically feasible, and it would ruin a lot of people's lives and their livelihoods and whatnot. Would you say that we should not make slavery illegal yet and sort of keep it around for a little while?
Yeah, so I think I just talked about this a minute ago with another question. I think it depends on how this is incentivized. So, like, if you think that people are going to be more incentivized to go to jail for keeping a slave than they would just to stay free and let a slave go, then maybe. But like, I think that it is likely that most women would look at a child and say, this is going to ruin the rest of my life because I'm not in a position where this is feasible. And so it is better for me to take the chance of going to jail than for me to ruin the rest of my life.
Okay, right. Obviously, it wouldn't ruin the woman's life more than it ruins the baby's life,
True.
which we've all just agreed is a human. And so then, the question returns. It would.
Well, no, not the question returns. I already answered the other questions. If you want to ask,
slavery illegal, right? It ruined a lot of people's lives. It ruined their livelihoods. It made people go bankrupt. It ruined families economically, and they lost their homes, they lost their farms, all of that.
Is there a question here, or?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you would have argued with Abraham Lincoln and said maybe we should keep slavery around for a while because these exact same arguments about ruining people's lives, or if you would have been on board with Abraham Lincoln about making slavery illegal due to the moral injustice of it immediately.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen, most of the country already believed that slavery was wrong, and there was only a small part that was trying to fight for it, or if not that, then just like some sort of states' rights where they get to decide whether or not it's right or wrong. But
so you don't think the Civil War was mainly fought over slavery? You don't think it was like half the nation was pro-slavery?
It definitely was. It was fought over whether or not they get to decide.
Half the nation is pro-life. So we're kind of in exactly the same situation with a greater moral injustice. We just agreed that slavery, right?
Nope. Hold on. Even Tyler will call me pro-life, or other people who think that it's immoral but should still be legal. I don't think it should be legal, but he would call them pro-life in quotations, meaning like they're not real pro-life. Yes. And
right,
so hold on. No, stop. So if we are going to say that more than half the country is pro-life, from what I understand, 50% of the country thinks that it's immoral. About 76% of the country thinks that it should be legal. That is by far a majority that thinks that the abortion should be legal right now.
So what?
That was his question. He said said more than half the country is pro-life. So when you say that, you have to put some standards as to what you mean by that.
We can put some nuance on that. So where I'm going with this is, I'll walk back more than half the country is pro-life. Around half the country believes that abortion is a moral injustice, generally speaking, regardless of the legality, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's how people felt about slavery, generally speaking, knowing that lives would be ruined, the economy would be ruined in many states, much less like the families and whatnot, local communities. So we're sort of back in exactly the same boat, except with a greater moral injustice of murder versus slavery. So I'm curious if you would have argued with Abraham Lincoln and said we should keep slavery around just for a little while because, and sort of phase it out over time rather than what he did.
If we completely change the scenario in where how slavery was actually eradicated, then sure. If the scenario is 25% of the country thinks that it should be immoral, but at this point, let's say that's the case. 25% of the country thinks that we should make slavery illegal. And we want to know I would want to know what is the negative outcome from making it illegal? What is the bad thing that's going to happen now? Because that is my argument, is that a bad thing happens from making it.
So you keep trying to, what you're saying is is similar to what I was talking about. Like, so it's from like a deontological perspective, right? It's that like, look, this in and of itself, by virtue of itself, is a human injustice, is a crime against humanity.
Hold on, I think you missed part of this.
And it should be illegal. Whereas like Tom comes from like a utilitarian standpoint, where he looks at like, he weighs, well, even if like under his framework, like people's rights can, like individual rights can be taken away if it benefits like the greater overall good.
No,
And so the
so
same
his
argument can be
comparison
made for slavery, right?
Yeah, well, kind of. Your comparison was to my beliefs on abortion, but slavery does not compare to the surrounding the surrounding problems that we have by making abortion legal. It's not the same with making slavery illegal. Like the
Well,
problems.
why not? We all just agreed that it ruins people's lives. It ruined people's lives making slavery illegal, right?
Sure, that wasn't part of my answer, though.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought that was your whole argument was that making abortion illegal immediately rather than phasing it out would be ruining people's lives, right? Women. Well, what about, there were families whose lives were ruined by making slavery illegal.
No, I said that they would be more likely to still continue having abortions because not having an abortion would ruin their life. I didn't say we should make abortion legal because not having an abortion would ruin their lives. I didn't say that.
Right. So, I mean, if women are willing to risk jail, just like, I'm sure people were willing to risk jail in order to keep their slaves for a long time afterwards, right? That's their prerogative to make that choice and face the consequences of those actions.
Yeah,
but
true.
Still, the state position should remain, we should make slavery illegal as soon as possible due to the fact that it is ruining lives more than the lives that would be ruined economically from making slavery illegal immediately. And the same argument could be made for abortion, which we all just agreed is a greater moral injustice than slavery itself. Right?
We did all agree to that, yes.
Okay, so I'll pose the question to you again. Would you have said that slavery should not have been made illegal immediately as Abraham Lincoln did it, due to the fact that it's not even as bad of a moral injustice as abortion? And you're saying that abortion shouldn't be made illegal immediately? We're in the same position with a greater moral injustice, 100-something years later.
Okay, let me repeat this again, okay?
Sure.
You listening?
I'm hanging on your every word.
Thank you. Okay. So, I don't want to make abortion illegal because because if women are still incentivized to have abortions, regardless of whether or not it's illegal, then that means they're going to be having dangerous abortions that are not in a clinic, that are not actually safe, and therefore they are more likely to die in the process of having an abortion, meaning that we are actually ending up with more negative consequences than we would be to allow some abortions and limit them for right now. So if we're going to increase the negative consequences, that is the problem. If you can point me to where making slavery legal would have more negative consequences, I would be happy to hear it. But I wouldn't argue with Abraham Lincoln for absolutely no reason, no.
Okay, so do you think that slavery, or rather, do you think that more lives are ruined by abortions than the amount of lives that would be ruined from botched abortions from women who choose to disregard the law?
No. So we
Right
talked
now.
about this earlier, and again, we can start getting into studies back and forth. But my stance on this comes from the understanding that the amount of abortions would not be lowered at the same rate that the deaths of the women would be raised. And so in this case, we actually cause more people to die in the end. So that would be the problem. It's not just you can't point to some if they don't have their slaves, then there's an economic problem here now where they got to start paying people for labor and stuff. No, we're talking about lives lost.
Yeah,
Okay,
but not every life is. Yeah, but every life wouldn't be definitively equal, though, would it?
Didn't you say you were against capital punishment?
Yes, but I'm talking about.
But you're saying
that has
now
nothing to do
that
with what
it's
I'm talking about.
okay for her to die because she's killing somebody else, but you're against
but
capital
that's very
punishment.
different than capital punishment, right? If
Right,
a woman
so-
chooses to make
Yeah,
a
I'm
dangerous
not
decision,
correct.
Well, no,
I'm not talking
no,
about
no, no,
so capital
no, hold
punishment
on.
is when
That's not
government is
true.
involved.
No.
I'm not talking about that.
That's
So
not true.
I-
If making it illegal puts her in the situation to where
that doesn't put her in the situation. She made the choice to be in that situation.
okay, but we can already look at what people are more likely to do and make decisions
But just because
off
something's
of
more
that.
likely to do doesn't mean that they don't have choices. Tom.
I agree
So-
with that. I agree that they are still to be held accountable for their personal choices, but the
Okay.
government can put people in scenarios based on the decisions that they make.
Okay, so I have a question. So here's my question. So you have a child dying in one scenario, or a child being murdered in one scenario, and then in another scenario, you have a child being murdered, and then the murderer dies in the process of murdering their child. You still say that that is more wrong than the original?
If somebody, you're saying, so somebody murders a child and they stay alive versus they murder a child and die at the same time. I would
Correct.
rather the murderer stay alive after killing the child. And
okay,
again,
I'm curious. Are you for making heroin legal and made by the government in order to make it safer for people?
I am in favor of having decriminalizing it and having stations to where people can get injected safely to where they're not likely to overdose. But I don't think that it then should be legal for people to sell on the black market. So still drug dealers would still get arrested for selling the drugs in the first place.
So you would be for the government making heroin that's like safer heroin than the fentanyl-laced heroin which people get on the black market, which would make them die, since people who are using heroin wouldn't really stop just because it's illegal. They're obviously not, right? So we're seeing deaths from fentanyl overdose from people who are getting heroin that was bought on the black market. So it seems like you, to be consistent, would have to make the argument that safer heroin should be made by the state and provided to heroin users so that they're not dying from this bad heroin, right?
Yeah, one is better than the other, but that's not what I would advocate for, because I believe what's even bester than that is just making like criminalizing selling the heroin and then helping people inject the heroin safely so that they don't also die just because they bought heroin.
So you would be for criminalizing being an abortion doctor at the very least, right? Maybe not punishing women for seeking that out. You would at least be in favor of making it illegal to be an abortionist, right?
No, again, I don't think this is analogous to my stance.
Well, why not? Because the heroin dealers are the ones who are providing the bad heroin, which is laced with fentanyl, which is leading to so many deaths across the country, as the abortion doctors are the ones who are providing abortions, which leads to deaths across the
Milo,
country.
you said, or Mio, you said that you were listening when I explained my stance, but you keep going to hypotheticals that are not analogous to my stance.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying is women would still seek out abortions and they'd be using coat hangers or whatever instead. So I do understand that. However, it seems like there is no possible path with the worldview you're presenting to abortions ever being illegal, because
That's not true.
Women are always incentivized to have abortions if they believe that that's okay.
Okay,
they're
so
always
hold
going
on.
to be incentivized.
Yes, so
birth will always be inherently dangerous.
Okay, so I went over this earlier. One, like, I think that we would have to have a cultural change. One of the ways to make a cultural change is to make it to where abortions are less likely. So we can look at the reasons that women have abortions and then get rid of those. So like looking at like women have abortions because they don't have another partner, or because of financial issues, or because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. Things like this. We can make it to where those are not fears anymore. Then abortions are less likely. And then the culture starts to change where abortions aren't happening so often, to where it is thought of as taboo, and then we can move in a direction to where making it illegal is more likely.
I can find a way to make this work. It almost sounds like you're making a based argument against women's rights, generally speaking, because if women weren't in the workforce, they wouldn't be afraid to lose their jobs. If women weren't allowed to drive, then they wouldn't be able to go and get abortions, without their husband's permission, right? If women weren't allowed to vote, they wouldn't be, voting for abortion policies or people who are making that
Inshallah.
more common or more culturally acceptable.
I think that, I mean,
Real
I think that
from
I can
your
help you
worldview,
out,
right,
dude.
Tom?
Like, for you should just go somewhere where they don't have women, and you and your buddies can all just jack each other off all day, and you won't have to
not where
worry
they
about
don't
it
have
anymore.
women, just where they don't have women's
Oh, it's
rights.
okay,
And,
man.
a new
I've got
place
your
just
solution,
popped up on
buddy.
the map with
I've
like
got
that.
your solution.
Yo,
You don't
the
like women
video
so much.
editors
I can
are
help
gonna
you
have fun
out,
with this.
dude. This is a
We're just
brilliant
talking about
solution.
rights,
Me and you,
man.
man. Me and you. We're on.
Hey,
I've
Mio
got
didn't say
you,
he
dude.
didn't want any women around.
got
He just
you.
talked about restricting their rights.
Very
man.
true.
Yeah,
If
but, like,
they,
you
again, it's like
would
they
want to
they
restrict
wouldn't be
rights
able
of
to do
people
this
that you
if they
don't
weren't
like.
able to drive. They wouldn't be afraid of losing their jobs if they didn't have jobs, right? So it's like we can cancel out all of these factors
Curfews.
one at a time to make
Maybe
abortions
curfews.
less culturally acceptable, less viable for women to even get to, and less likely to happen, generally speaking.
True.
And so if we did all of those things and then we jailed abortionists, then it seems like that's the best path, the most efficient,
I think the most efficient path
where
is
we all want to be,
Yeah.
as far as abortion goes, right? Is just take away women's rights altogether.
Sure. Look, I get where you're going. I think
Love
that
it.
the most efficient path is for you and your buddies to just jack each other off without taking away women's rights. You can do this already. It's nothing.
I'm not saying
you
we
don't
want
have
no
to
women.
involve
We
the
just
women
want
in
no
this.
women's rights. A new place just popped up on the map where that's the case, and we might like it there. Actually, it seems like the guys who are there are really liking it there. They really fought hard to make it that way, and so they're not jerking each.
I do have to head out.
They're imposing their will on the women. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just wanted to make that point real quick.
Look, man, find
I
a
think
map.
we can all
Find
find agreement
Coconut
that
Island.
if we took
and
away
we'll be
women's
very
rights
happy there.
altogether and jailed abortionists, that would be the most expedient path towards reducing abortions, making it culturally unacceptable, less viable, and then there would be fewer babies murdered in our evil society, and the great Satan would be defeated in that way.
Fair enough.
Love to hear it. I'm so glad we're always agreeing on these base topics, Tom.
We're always on the
I'm
same
glad I
page,
showed
you and
up
me,
for
buddy.
this. Yep. Anyway, thanks for having me. Thanks for answering my questions.
I
Tom's
was
always
muted
a good
again, you
sport.
guys. It happened again. I was talking and I'm muted. Oh my god. This is the third
Take
time.
like,
your
why
own
is he
rights
talking
away.
over
We love
me?
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take your own rights away.
Another,
talking about
another
taking away
ideal
women's
case.
rights, Brittany. That's of
Shut
course
up.
I'm going to be talking over you.
All right, yeah, thanks for coming on, Mio. And Mio will be back
Sure.
tomorrow night, and we will be having a panel on whether or not we should ban porn. So that will be on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, thanks, Mio.
I wonder which side I'll be on.
And I wonder, I can't imagine.
For the guy in the comments who didn't know what a paleoconservative was, this is for you. This is for you. Come check him out.
yeah, this is a.
No, yeah,
Mio's a
Mio
handmaid's
sounds very
tale, like, is it,
paleo-conservative. man.
That's what
It
they
is
are.
very true. Pat Buchanan was a visionary.
All right. Good night.
Cool.
All right. So why don't you guys give your closing statements and final
Go ahead,
thoughts?
Tom.
Yeah. So, as I said, I do feel as though outlawing abortion would actually make it more dangerous for women, and we would likely end up with more deaths than we would more life. And that is the outcome that I want when it comes to legality or what the government does. The conversation that I wanted to get into that Tyler was terrified of is, how do you get to the point where you decide whether or not your morality applies to the to the law. And I don't want the government deciding what is or isn't moral. I want them doing what's best for society. And you can find out what's best for society in a democracy where people are able to choose for themselves by voting on elected representatives. So in that case, if we do live in a democracy, I would want to start changing the culture to where this is the likely outcome that people would want after we lower the abortions by making them less likely in the end. I think that there were lots of places that we could have gone that would have been interesting. We weren't able to go there. Tyler doesn't like answering questions, but that's okay. Maybe another time. But in the meantime, you guys can come check me out. Is tomfoolery.com. Yeah.
What's the show that you have to get to? The Fence Sitter. You want to tell us about that really quick?
Yeah, I got a new show for centrists where we go over different issues.
Cringe.
We didn't want to call it The Centrists, so we called it The Fence Sitters. You can find it on YouTube. Just search Fence Sitters. Or you can find me at youtube.com/tomfoolery show. I do debates. I go over other people's debates and explain where they messed up. And then I also, in real life, work as a rhetorical consultant.
Are you going to show where you messed up, Tom?
Of course. Always. So, yeah. Come check me out there. Thank you.
Yeah, and who's doing that with you?
Kay Fellows and Jonah from Quibbles Over Coffee podcast.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So Tyler.
Hey, good luck with that, Tom. Seriously, man. So a couple of things. Yeah, so I think it really just comes down to like where your philosophical leanings are. Tom just keeps saying that people didn't want to answer questions when actually all questions were answered. He just doesn't like the answers that I'm giving him when it comes to, where, as far as morality translates into legality. I told him that mine is based off of more individualism and more individual rights. As far as like the initiation of force, he just refuses to acknowledge that. He's a utilitarian and he believes in sacrificing, that it should be legal to sacrifice people, their individual rights, their life, if need be, for the greater good. I'm more on like individualism, where it's like, no, you can't just sacrifice this person to save two people, right? You can't, no. So that's not what I get down with. He clearly does. That's fine. We just have a difference in, our philosophical standings and what we believe to be moral versus immoral. And yeah, I find that the amount of contradictions on here was just, it was just immense. To even say that you believe that something is murder and you believe, it doesn't even matter because he's utilitarianism. So I don't even need to get into that shit. So yeah, so you could find me Instagram, Tyler Bluntman. You can find me over there. Again, can't find me on TikTok anymore. I am banned forever. They banned all my devices too. I can't even start a new one. It's shitty. Wow. So yeah, unless I like
the same thing, Tyler.
They banned you?
Well, no, from Discord.
You're a woman, so it is what it is. But no, that sucks, man. Being banned definitely sucks for sure.
Well, especially when people are literally doing it to us. Like we have people that are.
Yeah, that's even shittier. That's even shittier, man. When you provide, especially like this, like I definitely appreciate even Tom being here. Clearly, we disagree. There were a couple jabs back and forth, but to me, man, it's all good. Like in the end, I don't know about him, but to me, like I wash away all that stuff as soon as I leave. I'm always interested in having these conversations with people, no matter how small or large your following is. So I'm always down with that, and I always appreciate when Brittany and Todd like allowed me to come on and use their platform. I think is dope. I think that if you are on this platform or even watching people debate on here and you're reporting them, you are bitches, you are hoes, you should get out of here. This is not the channel for you. So thank you guys for allowing me to come on. Thank you, Tom, for being here, even though I find your position incredibly cringe.
Yeah. So tomorrow night, like I said, we're having the panel on porn. Saturday night we have our drink and chat. I guess they'll be able to talk about the OnlyFans stuff that just happened. I guess they are stuck.
Yo, I asked to come on. Brittany didn't want me to come on, yo. I asked to come on.
I said you could. in a Q&A.
I am anti-porn as far as like I don't think like, and it took me a while to get there. Like I make jokes about porn now, but like generally, yeah, I don't think that it's good for people. Like I've seen a bunch of studies where it is not good. Especially you lead to erectile dysfunction, all kinds of fucked up shit, right? So like it is definitely not good. But liberty, as far as your right to watch it, you should have the right to do so.
What's your systemic
so-
racism position? Because I didn't know you even debated that.
Yeah, man. So I debated on the criminal justice side. I haven't gotten to like the healthcare and like I'm slightly in there as far as like the education side as well. But yeah, man, it doesn't seem to really be as prevalent as most people are saying that it is. I think that systemic racism can exist in hyper-focused areas. I think that we can find instances of it. But if you're saying like this city seems to be systemically racist against black folks, I can find another city that we can say is systemically racist against white folks. I think that when you average it out nationally, there's really not a big disproportionate amount if you're specifically talking about black people. And I think that 90% of these studies and these people that come up with like these different talking points, I think that it's either logically able to be overcome or it's definitively able to be overcome via like another study.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So I put the link tree in the chat. The main three that you want to follow is our Twitter, which that will give you all of our information, anything that's happening if we get banned. We just started this new thing, Gilded. It's kind of like a Discord knockoff, so we're doing that one, and Telegram. So those are the three public ones right now that they can't really shut us down on. We do have a VIP Discord, so if you guys are, if we trust you and know you, you can message me and I'll give you the link to it. But we're gonna work on trying to make a public Discord if I can figure out how these people will stop freaking banning me every time. What else? Oh yeah, Saturday night drink and chat. So if you guys are wanting to do the drink and chat, let me know and I will add you to the list. It gets packed up pretty fast. So
What about smoke weed
And
and
it's
chat?
buck wild.
How about that?
Sure. We had guy on shrooms last week. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Whoa.
So yeah, no, and then Sunday night, or actually Sunday, we have an earlier debate. It's like on transracialism and something else with Rose Wrist and PF Jung. So that is the rest of our week.
Yeah, transracialism is based. Yeah.
Nakazoos.
Yeah, our schedule is on our Twitter, and that I guess is all. So we will see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for porn time.